Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today we're speaking with a 23-year-old athlete who lives in India and is currently studying psychology. She has been competing for 3 years and won her pro card in December 2021 at the Amateur Olympia. Welcome to the show, Dakini Sellamuthu. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. So I gotta ask you, what is something you do or think about right before your heel hits the stage?
So right before I hit the stage, all I do is affirm in my head the things that I want to be on stage, how I would like to present myself. I just affirm, and I affirm the outcome, basically. You know, I'm an IFBB Pro. I won the show. This is all I affirmed last time. My first competition was however very different. So yeah.
What was your first competition like?
Oh, that was so it was very life-changing because all my insecurities and how I see myself, like everything came out. I never realized that I had low self-worth until I actually, did my first competition. Because in your first competition, you get to know about yourself so much, and you realize a lot about yourself unlike any other time. And all I was able to feel was insecure, and I was just crying in the green room. Yeah.
Wow.
It was different. Yeah.
Did you step on stage confidently, or did you step on stage and mess up? Like, how did you feel out there?
I just felt like it was not enough. I didn't belong because it was so new to me. And then seeing everybody who's been competing for so many years, I definitely felt like I didn't belong there, It was not a very nice headspace to be in, because a lot of people, actually enjoy their first competition. But I was just like crying with my mother in the green room. It was a very lonely time.
That sounds really tough.
Yeah.
What made you want to compete again after that type of experience?
I knew that, even though I felt bad, I just fell in love with the process, like getting on stage, the tanning, the makeup, and prepping for something. I knew I wanted to do it, but I was not in the right headspace as well, because after that I rebounded like very badly, because the post-show blues hit you so hard. You have no idea what to do with your life anymore, and then I just binge it for a long time, and then I rebounded very badly. And then I think somewhere along the way, my body also healed itself through the weight gain, because I was going through a lot of stress with my first competition. And once I gained my weight back and gained my sanity back, and that's when I decided to step on stage again. I was just ready to do everything all over, because I just wanted bad enough.
So you had a really negative experience at your first show, but you liked the process, and then you ended up having...
It was not a negative experience, but I was just feeling I had negative thoughts about myself. The experience was very beautiful, but it was me and my self-concept that was struggling there. Yeah.
That's tough, especially because you felt like you
Mm-hmm.
didn't belong there. And then you knew though
Yeah.
that you liked it, you liked the process, you wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
And you had struggled with binging. And I remember in a post you had written about binging multiple times a week, sometimes daily. Did that
Yeah.
ever persist into your competition preps?
Why? So I do think that binging and all sorts of eating disorders, at least like a part of it is like very physical, right?
Mhm.
It's the body and it's the biological changes in your body can actually like make you do these things even if you don't want to, and even if you're mentally in a good place. On prep though, for me, it's a very different thing because I so these eating patterns on prep, I don't know how to put it, but for me being on prep is healthy, because I stick to everything. Otherwise my body, like with a lot of food and my lifestyle, it kind of like messes up with my hormones. But on prep, since I'm eating what I need to eat, and the exercise and everything is actually very helpful. That's why I always have this urge to go back to prep and how it makes me feel. So my eating disorders or my issues with eating never like came while I'm on prep, but only before or after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
Yeah, it is a pretty weird, but yeah, this is how I could put it.
that's not weird at all to me because literally like the work that I do is
Yeah,
help competitors on their relationship with food, their body image, personal development, their goals, all of this. And it's
right.
not uncommon for competitors to tell me that in prep, they're totally fine. They're able to
Yeah.
commit 100%.
Hmm.
So where my mind is heading as we're talking is like, what do you do when you're not in prep? Like, how does your lifestyle or your choices change?
So my first competition, as soon as I got off prep, I just jumped into eating all the junk that I could find. And that continued for a while until I started my second prep. I mean, until I started my journey again, right? But
Mhm.
I did hit the gym, but I still ate like crap. However, this time, even though like my appetite was so big, I did make better choices. And because I knew it's not just because you also mature as you keep competing. The first time is always like you don't know what to do, and you feel very lost. But right now, after the competition, I just got into eating good. And I did have my treats and everything, but every time I think about a meal, I look forward to eating something that is going to feed my body and my mind.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
how do you make that decision?
I think to be honest, when you keep going on this journey, you start to actually like what you make it a habit, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes we make things a habit even if you don't like it, but eventually you'll end up liking that habit. So now if I'm going to go eat something, it's actually what I like. If I'm eating a bowl of oatmeal, it's actually what I like right now.
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm restricting myself or anything. Yeah.
Yes, that's really important. That is so key to have the right perspective and perception of what we're doing and making sure
Right.
that it's positive so we don't feel that it's a chore or it's restrictive or that it honestly, if we don't believe that it can be sustained for months after a prep, obviously not to the extremes that sometimes we have to go to in preps, but if we don't feel that same desire to follow through on those habits to nourish our bodies and to move our bodies, it's probably not the right approach.
Right. And for a fact that as soon as my competition got over, like, see, I've always dealt with an all or none thinking, right? I
Mm-hmm.
always operate at the extremes. And for me, my main goal was to break that. So I let myself eat. And I actually I used to post on social media, of videos of me eating, because I always in order for me to do well in the future, I need to break my own thought patterns. I need to protect myself from my own thoughts. So as soon as I knew this pattern has been existing or been lingering with me since forever, and I have no other time than now to correct that. And that's why as soon as I got off the competition, I was operating on an all or none thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I let myself eat. I was like, you're going to eat, I'm going to eat. And there's always this the world's going to end right now kind of feeling. I've always any decision anything that I want to do, I want to do it right now, because I feel like the world's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I wanted to break all of these things. And most people would say that, okay, you have to reverse after a show and everything. But for me, reversing would only make my mental space bad. It's gonna worsen the way I think. So I had to heal that. So as soon as I stepped off stage, I let myself eat. And even until now, I'm still letting myself eat. But then I did eat a lot more of not so fitness friendly foods as soon as my competition got over. But right now I'm healing my mind, and I'm making better choices every day. So I think it's very important to give yourself enough time to actually heal your own thought patterns and how you view food, because it's not going to happen in one day.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. And you need to allow yourself to heal from these things as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point right there. And sometimes it's difficult for people to allow themselves to heal their relationship with food. And by no means is there a one size fits all approach to this, but sometimes people worry that their coach will judge them or not approve of their approach. So how do you communicate with your coach your commitment to not reversing and instead just allowing yourself to eat?
I tell them everything. I tell whatever, even if I'm mentally off, I just tell them everything. And if I ate something, I'm very honest with that. And I don't actually care if people judge me. I'm not ashamed of making any
Mm-hmm.
Choices that are not very appreciated by others. Because at the end of the day, if it's me and my journey, and if I accept myself for making certain decisions, and if I think it's okay, I feel like it's okay at the end of the day. But if I do something that I don't like, that's when it gets to me. But otherwise, I communicate everything with my coach.
Yes.
And without any hesitation or feeling ashamed,
Because you've already accepted it.
I've already accepted it. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm so glad you said that, because too many people seek validation from their coach, or they seek punishment or reinforcement or validation, right? So they go to their coach to get that instead of giving it to themselves.
Correct. Yeah, that is true.
So many things are going through my mind, but I feel called to say this. If you guys are listening and you're struggling with your relationship with food or the post-show blues, I literally have so many freebies on my website that you can get for this, like a post-show blues coaching series and a free food relationship coaching series. They're very in-depth, that's for sure, especially the free food relationship coaching series. That's on celestial.fit. Just wanted to throw that out there in case that is something you guys are struggling with and looking for guidance on. But Dakini, thank you for being so open, first of all, about what you've experienced and your comfort in your approach post show, even now as a pro, because a lot of people think pros are perfect, and perfect to what standard, right? A standard they've created in their mind. So how did you get to a place where you were at peace with what your approach would look like post show, as opposed to what others think it might need to be?
Yeah. So as soon as I got off, like a lot of people like you're not supposed to eat. You're a pro and this and that. I'm like, I'm the same. I've been the same person before turning a pro and after turning, becoming a pro. It's not gonna change. My relationship with myself is far more important to me than what anybody else thinks that I should be doing, or the kind of image that I need to put out for me to look like I'm a good athlete.
Yes.
So I think it's very important to separate yourself from the world at times and what they are expecting of you to do, because at the end of the day, this journey is going to end at some point. But right?
Yes.
But if we keep sabotaging ourselves, and if we keep building, I mean, just like how you build a good relationship with yourself, even building a bad relationship with yourself is a thing. You keep abandoning your true self, and you keep abandoning your what you really want to do, and it keeps building up, and at a point you just burn out. So I really don't feel like a pro, to be honest, because to me, I'm at the end of the day, I'm just a person. It's just the title or that label is not going to change who I am, or what other people might want me to do. That's not going to affect me. Even if I get on that Olympia stage, I'm going to be the same person that I am today.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I can sense your confidence and your commitment to prioritizing yourself. And you share often that it is more important, and I like this wording, it is more important to improve rather than to impress. So did you ever struggle with comparison in the past?
Oh, I definitely did. Yeah. It's not like I compared myself with other people, but then I did feel like it was not enough. That it was really not comparing, but I would just say that, okay, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. It was just that thought. But there were times that I wish, like, I mean, I used to, it came from a place of insecurity, so and probably like, oh my god, I was actually jealous of how other people were guided, because I did not know anything, and I, especially from the place that I come from, there's not, I'm literally the only girl who's ever been into bodybuilding or competing in my entire state in India.
Yes.
So there's definitely not a lot of people to guide you, and I was really I compared the level of guidance that I had with other people, not really their bodies. Yeah.
How does it feel to be, I believe you're the only, or maybe the first or the only IFBB pro in your state?
Yeah.
It's amazing. How does that feel?
Feels good. Like I told you, like this title, just like, it's just a title to me, that high of winning just got off like in 2 to 3 days, and I'm just back to normal.
Yeah, because it's an actual like chemical spike in our brain when we win.
Yeah.
Like what's determining our happiness every day is really the process, or how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, and the fact is that I'm still struggling with my post-show blues, right? Even after winning. It was so crazy because, like, I thought if I win, I wouldn't, like, feel bad or, feel depressed after a show. But then it actually definitely came a lot more than last time, at least with how depressed I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have been prepping for this one show for 1.5 years. Because of COVID, my shows kept getting postponed. And somewhere along the way, your brain automatically only lets the thoughts of prep and competitions in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And for 1.5 years, I got so used to it. When I came off it was like after I won, I felt happy, but then I was like more depressed than ever.
Yeah.
But now I'm much better as I let myself go through these emotions
Mm-hmm.
and not wanting to jump on prep again.
Yeah,
I
serious.
I had to tell myself that you need to recover. You need time. Because it's sometimes so easy to fight the urges of eating, but it's not easy to fight the urges of prepping again,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they go oftentimes the post-show blues go hand in hand with wanting to hop in prep, especially if there was healthy weight gained or what some people might think is excess weight gained. That's to each their own judgment. If you feel it's excess, it's going to feel like excess. But those types of things and feeling out of control around food, for example, leads someone to go, well, what was the most recent experience where those things weren't a problem? And then we think that's the solution, and that is to go back on prep. But that is not the solution, right? Because that actually led us in some way to where we are. And it's important to heal, reflect. I love how you said you listen to your emotions in order to then have a better experience next time too.
Yeah, that's very important, because if you want to be, I made this choice of letting myself just like unpack everything that I have created for myself, right? All the thoughts that I created myself earlier in the journey. I was like, I'm going to give myself time to let and unpack everything so that I could fall in love with this again, just the way I did the first time.
Yes.
And it is so important, because if you want to be in this game for long run, then you have to change the relationship with yourself first. Because I know for a fact that we all got into this. I mean, at least most of us got into the sport with a place of lack. We all came from a place of something was wrong with us. That's why we got into the sport. I mean, that's what I feel. I'm not too sure, but not everybody actually got. Not everybody actually started from a place where they already, loved themselves or accepted themselves. So this cannot keep on going if you actually want to do this for a long time. And for another fact is that a prep, a conscious prep actually gives you the false sense of control over your life more than anything else. And when you're on prep for a really, really long time, what happens is that you get addicted to it. You get addicted to that false sense of control. And when you don't wake up thinking, okay, I have 2 hours of cardio to do, I have so many hours of cardio to do, when that control is not there, your mind goes in every direction. I couldn't even recognize how I was thinking after my competition. I couldn't recognize myself, because my mind was going in all different directions, because I couldn't stay in one place. My mind couldn't stay in one place like how it did on prep. And that's when I realized that I'm not supposed to be gaining this control from prep or any one single thing, right? Because my entire life was under what prep had to offer. My mood, the way everything, So that's when I realized that this sense of control has to come from multiple different areas of your life. That's when it's actually like healthy, and that there's just so many things. I don't even know what to speak about.
Oh my gosh, you're doing amazing. You're preaching.
No, my mind is just going here and there and here and there. But yeah, but exactly, like, I think post show, these are all, I think everybody goes through this, you know?
Yes, a lot of
Yeah.
people do. I believe it's preventable to a degree. You brought up a good point earlier about the biological side of this too.
Right.
And I think your point about recognizing that it's a false sense of control is such a great takeaway. Like knowing that
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to find it elsewhere. And we get so engrossed in prep mentality, right? Like we're working so hard.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a trend, and this happened with me too in my own journey, and it sounds like you'll relate, but this trend of like you work so hard for a result, for a show date, right? Yes, you're enjoying the
Yeah.
process, and I've learned through the years of what I need to do personally to not fixate so much on the show date. First of all, that's removing a timeline altogether, but at least in the beginning stages. But that I'm getting off track. What I'm trying to say is
Mm.
if we no longer focus on a prep, a show date, we feel lost. But if we go into a prep without the fixation being the only reason that I'm doing what I'm doing every day is for a show date, I think we give ourselves more freedom because now there's more benefits to waking up to do cardio or work out or eat your meals. If we only focus on one benefit, which is maybe winning a show, we lose sight of what really matters, which is like all the other benefits it brings us. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm bringing this up specifically for you because you have spoken about evolving spiritually through bodybuilding. And I wanted to hear what types of changes have occurred within you as a result of the sport.
Okay. I'm being very honest. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
uh, so my entire life, I've dealt with a lot of mental illnesses, like since I was a kid. Um, so I'm not, no, this is the first time I'm opening up about it, but I have borderline personality disorder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so ever since I was like 11, 12, I hit depression and everything turned. So I was literally like suicidal every day. But when I got into bodybuilding was that it gave me a purpose to live.
Yes.
And all the skills that I learned throughout this journey, the discipline, showing up for myself, that started it was very transferable to all other areas of my life. I was a great student in school, but then once I turned 12, I hit rock bottom and I started failing classes and everything, you know. I never went to school then. I always used to skip school because I was like depressed. And then but however, when I finished school is when I got into bodybuilding, and the thing that the skills that I learned at the gym transferred to my college, and I finished college great. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It gave me a
Absolutely.
purpose to live. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
the skills that I learned at the gym, because I've been carrying it with everything else that I want to do right now.
Mm.
And I think it was meant to happen somewhere along the way. I think yeah, I do believe that it had to happen for no reason, you know. It was just like a blessing in my life. Sometimes, I mean, I cannot speak with logic. I don't see that me getting into bodybuilding, I don't think it makes any sense to me, because there's literally like nobody who does this here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I just felt like all the forces acted and I had to endure in this journey too. And not just that, but also along with eating disorders and everything that's when I actually encountered with these eating disorders on in this journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
All my past traumas or whatever, everything that I've been that I'd never realized that I had came up.
Mm-hmm.
all my childhood traumas, everything came up, and it made me realize, it made me more self-aware, to be honest. And for me to heal these things, I got into spirituality as well. There's just a lot of things interconnected: bodybuilding, spirituality, and my my own self. I just feel like everything is like interconnected, and everything works out in my favor at the end of the day, no matter what I go through.
Absolutely. What a beautiful mindset. And I want to appreciate and recognize you for being so vulnerable and open and speaking about something that is so heavily and or inappropriately stigmatized. And I'm really grateful that you did. And what you said about finding bodybuilding, it just brought up something, and maybe you're familiar with her, but her name's Marsha Linehan, and she is the creator of DBT. And the whole purpose of DBT in borderline personality disorder is actually, the main goal is to help clients, patients live a life worth living. And when you describe that, I immediately thought about that. And then when you talked about how, bodybuilding, like if you statistically laid it out, you probably shouldn't have found it, but somehow you did. It provided you so much meaning and purpose. And then it revealed more. And I think that's really, really cool and worth pointing out that there's a strong relationship between, well, most mental illnesses have strong relationships and comorbidity with others, but borderline personality disorder is very correlated with disordered eating patterns. And the fact that you were able to find purpose in a sport that can be ridiculed for this, and you were able to make peace with yourself and find and establish the way that all these parts and pieces of you connect. To me, it's like, wow, you're so resilient. You were able to do that. And I just want to acknowledge you and appreciate you for sharing that.
Thank you. And that's the thing, like I got in, so as soon as I got into bodybuilding, my nervous system was actually even more triggered, than so like some people are born with sensitive nervous systems, right? Biologically, and that itself is a cause for a lot of mental illnesses, how your nervous system regulates itself, right? So once I got into bodybuilding, it triggered my nervous system even more, to be honest. And and prep made it worse, because I was literally able to feel all the traumas that I had come up to the surface. And that's when I realized that I had to heal these things. And that to me is spirituality. It's not just like, there's a force protection. That's not like that, For me, spirituality is recognizing and healing my own self. And this journey, the prep, because how prep can actually change your cognition, right? Your thinking and everything. It brought up so many things to the surface that I never knew I had. And I'm so glad that bodybuilding gave me this. It provided me with a way to journey into my own psyche. Yeah.
That's so amazing. It's like bodybuilding was not just part of the finding purpose, but it was also like the path to revealing so much more about yourself and your needs.
Yeah, true. And I've always struggled with body image issues as a child. I was 10 when I actually when I first wanted to diet or something. And I think life will always give you a few hints, because I think I was just 13, 14 when I actually stepped into the gym for the first time for me to lose weight. And then I stopped. And then life gives you so many hints as to where you're going to go. We never grasp or we never pay attention to it. And only when you look back, it was all leading up to, one point. Yeah.
Yeah, such a surreal thing.
Yeah, it is.
So you're studying psychology. What
So
inspired you to do this?
so to study psychology, right?
Mhm.
Because to be honest, I didn't want kids to go through what I went through,
Mm.
because I was a very positive kid. I was very ambitious, very positive, and then my life just became the opposite because of the emotional neglect. And I mean, it's not that your parents or the society, they don't know, they just did what they were aware of, right? But
Mhm.
somehow it left a lot of imprints on a child's mind, and that later turned into mental illnesses. I just didn't want, I just wanted to help people. That's it.
Mm.
That's mainly why I took up psychology. And to be honest, I think sometimes psychology can trigger you more as well, you know. And the more you know, the worse it gets.
Yeah, when I first
Yeah,
understood, ignorance is bliss, it's like, yeah, well,
yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of get it. And then, I got smarter and I was
yeah,
like, oh, I really get it now. I really do.
yeah.
Because when you understand darkness, although I will say, since I mean, the work that I do in my business is different to a large degree from the work that I do in the counseling center. But the
Mhm.
counseling center work, oh my gosh, it's just like, it's given me so much more compassion and gratitude. And like, yeah, there's some things that like I'm like, oh, this is triggering me a little bit. This is intense. Or I hear
Right.
stories, but at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, 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 that was amazing. Like, you just because like when you're reading about it, you're studying it, you're learning it, you're like, people go through that. You went through it. I've been through stuff too. And it's like you gain perspective. And I don't know, I was joking around with some of the counselors the other day. We're like, well, how did we get into therapy? And they're like, no one just gets into therapy. Like, you probably went through some shit before you decided that's what you were
Yeah,
gonna do.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's not just that. I mean, again, I'm being very honest right now.
Mhm.
I think even psychology, I actually did a year of engineering, right? So
Wow.
my family, yeah, my family, like everybody has done engineering. I was literally forced and to to go to engineering school, and I quit after a year. I'm like, I'm not gonna go. You can do whatever you want to do. I just told my parents that, and then I got into psychology, and
Mhm.
little did I know that it came in very handy, because my mom last year, she actually became, because of the lockdown in
Mhm.
2020, she actually became paranoid schizophrenic.
Mm.
I Nobody else in the family could recognize it, and they all thought that my mother was just, just being herself. But I'll tell you something. I feel like at that moment I felt like I was I went to study psychology because in order to identify that my mom was suffering.
Mm.
I think everything is connected, and that's what I believe. Me, bodybuilding, psychology, I'm put on this earth to help someone or the other.
Wow. Yeah, your passion and your heart is very clear.
Yeah. And it's not, it's so, just because you're very self-aware, it's just not, it doesn't get any easier, to be honest.
No, that's true. You're always
Yeah.
like, there's always something that will be revealed to you, you'll be aware of. And it's like, we're never going to be perfect. We're always going to change. So I might as well enjoy where we're at too.
Right. Yeah. I think it's like, everything you go through, everything happens for a reason. You may not know that right now, but I know that sentence is very comforting as well, but I think it's true. Everything happens for a reason, and the answers will come as you move along the way. You just need to keep going.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like you said, you've taken a lot of responsibility. You do things to support yourself. So what are some of the things you do on a day-to-day basis to support your mind and your spirit and your physical body?
Yeah. So again, like, so if I'm willing to make a choice to support myself, again, it depends upon whether how I'm operating at that moment, right? And how self-aware I am. Right now, I'm able to make better choices because the lack of stress that prep is not giving me.
Mm-hmm.
So I meditate. I just move my body somehow, right? And I just sit with myself. That's the main thing that I do. But since I'm more into spirituality, I'm into meditating, deep breathing, in the morning and night, and I journal a lot. These are the some things that I do to keep myself, keep myself within my body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also like I'm an artist, so I draw.
You're an
I'm just getting back.
amazing artist.
Thank
can
you.
we just acknowledge that you're amazing? You're amazing
Thank
at art.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
So, I mean, I'm at a very good place right now mentally to get into these things again, to start supporting myself again. Because I think when you're on contest prep, the stress it gives you, it makes you it really changes your cognition. You're not even willing to you're not willing to better yourself. For me, at least, it's like that because the stress it gives me, I cannot do much.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it can be like that, but it certainly doesn't have to be.
Yeah, sure.
And I know like everyone's process and approach is different, and like I know mine's evolved so much over time. But yeah, I'm at a place where I don't experience that level of stress. I mean, sure, when things get really busy, sometimes it can be more difficult, but I mean, just hearing you talk, I'm like, I feel like you could probably have a really positive and less stressful experience in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think, see, that's the thing. For me, I had to do a lot of cardio. I had to get down to really, really low calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
That so like I told you, like my nervous system is already it's a very sensitive one. And on top of that, you are doing a lot of cardio, you're dieting down. It actually, I don't know how to, I mean, different people like it's experience the same thing in a different ways.
Yep.
To me, it is the stress literally changes my cognition and the way I think. Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't go away until I actually give myself time to gain weight. And that's when I reset my body and my mind resets itself as I gain weight. And then it's become a cycle because I usually reverse my own progress, my mind, by prepping for again and again and again. But yeah,
So
I don't know. I see this from a biological side, right? I
yes.
completely view this from a biological point of view. Like with physically, even it doesn't matter if you're mentally stressed or not, but even physical stress can change your cognition a lot.
That's definitely true.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely true. And like you said, everyone does have a different experience. I still am a firm and strong believer that we can create positive experiences, and it doesn't have to be so hard. Like, yes, obviously, like we have to do a lot of cardio, gotta diet down. Those things are challenging.
Yeah. Oh no, but for sure, mentally, I was in a better place in my second prep than my first.
Mm-hmm.
My first, I was just a ball of anxiety. I would just cry every day. But my second prep was completely different. And I think as you keep doing this, it gets better.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
like the type of reflection that you do like after the show and throughout the show, like show prep, so important. And
Yeah.
I'm curious why do you want to keep competing if you've had those experiences? Like I know you like I know it's been great for you and revealing it gives you so much purpose, but at the same time it sounds like it can be very painful and uh challenging. And not that we need to avoid challenge, but I am curious, like why do you want to sign up for that?
Because I know I am not um I know I'm not my thoughts or my emotions, right? Um it's in a way, like, to me, like, just getting better mentally and emotionally after a prep, right? That itself is a journey to me, more than just like improving my body. So when I compare myself in my first prep to this time, you have no idea how much of how just in overall life my mentally and emotionally have improved.
So cool.
So it's not just like, oh, okay, this is my off season, I'm going to gain a couple of pounds of muscle and get out. It's not that. It's not just that for me. It's about proving myself wrong, proving what I used to believe about myself, that I'm emotional, that I am weak, that I'm sensitive. I need to break that, and there's no other better way for me than bodybuilding, because I'm in love with it.
Yes.
This is the journey. That's why I also told you it's like very spiritual to me, because in this journey is where I can actually reveal and heal a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, and I love competing. But yes, I do go through hard times, but I'm getting better every day. I'm getting better every prep. So that's growth to me. Not yes, of course, my body has changed a lot, but that can be changed at any time. But if you're not actively working on your mind, if you're not willing to work on your mind, then I don't know.
Yeah. I think I think that the body is much more, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I think that we can on autopilot mode change our body, but you cannot on autopilot mode change your mind. Changing your mind
Yeah.
requires focus and well, changing your body requires discipline too, but you can go on autopilot with your mind. Like you have to be willing to actively address negative thought patterns when they come up and then identify behaviors that it's led to. And it goes on, and you can't do that in autopilot mode the way you can change your body.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the main, that a lot of people actually don't um they how do I say this? They just want their bodies to change in this journey, right?
Yep.
So that's why it's very hard for them to accept when something that they don't like comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I recognized that this journey is going to reveal a lot more than you expect it to, it became a lot more easier for me.
I like that. Like you're not taken
Yeah.
aback by it. Instead, you're expecting it and you're ready and you embrace it. You enjoy it. You look forward to it.
Yeah, you cannot, you will never know what comes up. At least for me, coming from a place of all the like a lot of trauma and a very dysregulated nervous system, and since I'm also very self-aware, this entire prep experience actually gives a lot of insight about myself. I'm pretty sure not everybody can see it this way, but this is how I see it.
Yeah, your unique
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
What are some of the insights you got from your last prep?
Oh, it's not like an insight, but it was just a reassurance to myself that I was really resilient, because life threw a ton of things at me, but it's not like an insight, but I don't know how to put this, but it definitely taught me that I can overcome anything. And it gave me this belief that no matter what, when I fall, even if I fall in the future, which I will definitely will, right? You can never not fall in life. I just now if I fall in the future, or if I'm at a very dark place in the future, I just know that I can get. I mean, I will overcome that. That I did not have as a child. I told you I was very suicidal, right? I always thought that my life was going to be that. I just wanted to end my life all the time. But I've never been suicidal since this whole journey started, and I think that is it gave me yeah. So the last prep is when I actually like got to know that no matter what, everything gets better. Everything gets better. Yeah. And it also like actually like did teach me, I mean, it did tell me that I have a lot of emotional abandonment issues and attachment issues. Because if I, there was this point, this is I don't know if you can understand exactly how I see it, but if I bail on myself, or if I abandon my goals, right? Let's say that I mess up in my progress, or if I mess up something, my emotional abandonment wounds get triggered if I abandon my goals. So if I don't, suppose, let's say like I don't stick to a diet for a week, in my head it is me abandoning myself. And when that happens, all other emotional abandonment wounds get triggered, and then I go searching. I distract myself, and I go searching for that outside. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I literally go searching for validation outside. When I don't stick to what I like, if I don't stick to my goals like for a few days, then I would just go and I would search for that validation outside, because I'm not validating myself, and because I'm abandoning myself. That is how that's something I realized. Because every time I messed up, in the past, what I would do is I would just go out and I would drink a lot more than I wanted. I would go out, socialize a lot more than I wanted. Because I'm actually I'm a very introverted person, right? I literally become another person because I'm trying to forget that I'm abandoning my goals. There's a lot of things that I've learned, and it's to my surprise, that I never ever knew that bodybuilding would teach me about all these things.
It's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I think when you abandon your true self and when you abandon your goals, your other abandonment issues get triggered, and then you start searching for validation outside. That is just the one main piece of insight that I got.
That's amazing insight. Very insightful, and likely relatable for others too, because it speaks to identity, and it speaks to showing up for yourself, and how destructive it can be when we don't, and how difficult it is emotionally when we don't show up for ourselves, and instead we rely on others, or we seek out what we really need from ourselves from others, and maybe we develop codependency, or we just start doing what everybody else wants us to do, and we don't act how we actually see ourselves or want to see ourselves.
Yeah, that is very true, because I did like find myself in a spot where I was socializing a lot more, meeting people, hanging out with people I didn't even want, or like, because I think it's kind of like made me feel like I was getting attention that I was not giving myself,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think when you don't show up for yourself, that's when you just start seeking for validation and attention outside, and it's not a very good place to be in. Yeah.
Right. And that speaks to your earlier point about valuing meditation and time with sitting with yourself.
Correct. Yeah. And I do believe that we don't always have the ability to make better choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we at least need to try.
Yeah.
I don't know how we may not have the ability to show up like 100%, but even 1% of just wanting, yeah, you need to be willing to change yourself. You need to be willing to go through uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable emotions too, and that's when you actually break open and heal.
Yes.
And it all comes from a place of being willing to go through these things. And that's another thing, is that the sense of control that prep gives you, when it's taken away, that's when you actually realize that you're actually craving for control in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else, every thought, I think most people go through these post-show blues because their entire life revolves around competing and prepping and bodybuilding, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going off track.
No,
I don't know where my head is going.
No, trust me, it's good. You're doing a great job, and just listening, taking it in, and letting others do the same. Like, I like the track you're on, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I'm like, my head is just going in all different directions right now, because there's just so much. There's just so much, so many thoughts in so little time.
I know we're really
Yeah.
not like the complexity of, honestly, like, I will say straight up, like, I'm loving this conversation. Like, I feel like it's so real. We're just, everything's flowing so amazing, and I'm really just enjoying it.
Yeah, and I actually feel so good, like, for letting a lot of things out. This is like literally the first time I'm actually sharing a lot of things,
Wow.
because at least like because the level of comfort that I have, because I know you understand these things, and for me it's just so easy for me to actually open up.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you feel
Yeah.
that way. I'm so grateful that you
Yeah.
trust me to kind of hold the space for on this platform for you to share with others, and like just really want you to know you've shared so eloquently throughout this whole episode, especially considering you haven't opened up much about it. You
Yeah.
really, I think, just do an amazing job of articulating what your experiences have been on a raw level, which is why I love doing this show, like why it's so important that we talk like this and we let others know that everybody's a human going through something.
Yeah, that is true. I know.
Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate your time, and like I said, everything we've talked about has been amazing and so fulfilling for me. And I would love to hear what your best advice is for someone who has never competed before but would like to, and then your best advice for someone on their road to pro.
Okay. So the first thing that I would tell everybody, I think I've shared this a million times on my social media, but then build a physique, that you for sure and you are absolutely certain that you deserve to be a pro. Don't keep stepping on stage just for the sake of winning or just for the sake of it, to show that you are a bikini competitor, right? Build the physique and then get on stage. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but when when I built a physique that I was so confident about, that's when I actually was able to manifest it in my reality, right? I became a pro because I wanted to first build a physique that deserved to be a pro. And I became a pro in my second competition. So that's not that easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that build that body that you are confident in, and then show up.
How did
And
you know
for
when?
people,
I'm
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. I really wanted to
yeah,
just hear how you knew
yeah.
personally that you were confident that your physique was going to get you your pro card.
I just knew it because I don't know how to say that.